I'm Melissa Cruna. I am the general manager of Cott Lumber Ottawa. I got involved just recently with the Royal Ottawa because I wanted to put my efforts into something that meant something to me. A friend of mine committed suicide 3 years ago. She was a very accomplished person in school and in her career, and she lost her battle. And I lost a very good friend that day, and so there's a big hole. In her last words to her family, she wrote a note. She explained that her depression has come back to find her like an old friend, and she didn't see her way out of this next challenge, and that was why she chose to do what she did. There's definitely a misconception out there when it comes to depression as being something that is just a state of mind. If it could be as easy as I thought it was when I was trying to help her, just saying chin up and tomorrow will be a better day. Cancer is not cured that way either, and I wish it was as easy as that, but obviously it wasn't. It's something that people don't know how to help. As a very close friend to her, I felt helpless. And the stigma surrounding, it followed her after her recovery the first time. It followed her to her new job that she was on disability, and she came back, and it was difficult to overcome the stigma associated with that, absolutely. And it's unfortunate because I think that's half the battle, because it is a real disease, and we should be just as adamant about finding a cure for this as we are about other diseases that we're more familiar with and that we can understand. That's the hard part with mental illness, is we don't understand it. The stigma attached to it is the problem, because as an employer we're afraid to acknowledge it because it is seen as being an excuse to not be at work. Talking and acknowledging the fact that people might be going through very serious problems and not being afraid to acknowledge that is the first step, because people need that help, they need that support. And if they're employed by us, they're important to us and they deserve the help. We met at grade school when we were 6. So Graham Park Public School in Ottawa. Her telephone number was 828-7770. So we go back, way back. We grew up together and followed each other through the same school system, and grew apart and closer as the years went on. And in 2000, I was married, and she was my maid of honor at my wedding. She was that person in my youth that if I had a question about who dated so-and-so, or did I remember that story from grade 5, she would be the one that remembered. In most of her adulthood, she was always a bit of a troubled soul. But she didn't actually go into her depression that I saw until she overcame back surgery, or she was recovering from back surgery. And then some things happened in her personal life that started the spiral downward. She was such an intelligent person and a very analytical person. And she was able to describe herself as being a third person. She was very capable of acknowledging her problem. I'm not sure where it all became too much for her. I was with her the whole way. It was difficult to watch that because you felt helpless. She knew what she was doing, and she had attempted it once before, and what they say sometimes is when you attempt it, you don't really mean it. And when she did it, she didn't leave any clues to anybody. She executed it well, put it that way. So I wrote her a card saying that I knew she was going back into troubled land, and that don't worry, we're going to get you through this, and we haven't spent enough time together, and it's not that I am too busy to care, I'm just too busy to have stayed in touch over the last while. I sent the card, but she never got it. So I said all the things that I wanted to say, but she never heard them, which is horrible. And the card itself, for me, somebody who's healthy, that can say, you know, if you're going through hell, keep going. It just shows you how I would think that that's an inspiration. But I'm sure she would have loved to keep going, but she couldn't. And that's what she said in her note too, was some people probably think that I just have to be stronger, but I don't have it in me. And good for her to accept that. It's important to raise money, to raise the awareness and be able to help, because it helps the people that are suffering with the person that's sick as well, because it's an awful feeling when you're helpless to help somebody that you're desperate to try and help.